welcome to day 4 of week 5. Today we are going to be talking about service. My name is Steve Troop, and this is
Tim McCowan.
And the text for today is coming out of Matthew chapter 20, verses 24 to 28. I'll begin reading. It says, "And when the 10 heard it, they were greatly displeased with the 2 brothers. But Jesus called them to himself and said, 'You know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and those who are great exercise authority over them. Yet it shall not be so among you, but whoever desires to become great among you, let him be your servant. And whoever desires to be first among you, let him be your slave. Just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life a ransom for many.'" And so in the context of today's discussion being service, in one of our previous days, I believe it was day 1 or day 2, we talked about day 1. We talked about the acronym POINT for our life groups. And the N is for need meeting. And so really today's topic gets at need meeting. So Tim, how do we meet needs, and by what types of needs do we meet, and what are the means to meet needs in First Baptist Killeen?
I developed the acrostic a few years ago whenever I was trying to think of the 5 basic things that we need to do as a church, and I even kind of identified it with my fingers. And so I would say that prayer is a good thing. So, I love talking with God. Outreach is for those people out there. In-reach is for the longest finger that reaches into our heart. And then teaching is what brings it all together. But need meeting is our weakest finger that we have. And I think about how being a weak person, or maybe a person who is in need, we need to reach out to them. And, other denominations maybe are more known for their service. For instance, the Mennonites or the Methodists, and they have a lot of the social gospel, things that they do to help other people. As a church, Baptist, we are strong on the Bible, as we've been talking about that, but making the Bible practical and doing practical things that we can actually impact our society. One of the things that we look at is James. He says, if you say you love, someone else, or that you have faith without works, that faith without works is dead.
Right.
And we need to be a live, vital part. So we do need to serve each other. So it's spoken of quite a few times in Scripture, not only in James, but in Galatians. We have the passage in your book. It says that for you, brethren, have been called to liberty, not to use your liberty as an opportunity for the flesh, but through love to serve one another. And I'll just stop there, is that we're not saved by serving, but we are saved to serve. We are to love our neighbors as ourselves. So I am happy that our church does have an entire month that we try to emphasize that, and that is the month of February. And we talk about I love my church, which is that love for one another. But then also the o'clock part is our church loves our community. And each life group tries to do a special project, a different thing, to be able to make our faith exemplified. Whenever we went to Katrina in the ministry after the hurricane that devastated New Orleans, I remember a person from the Salvation Army saying, "We didn't just come here to tell you about the love of Jesus. We came here to show you the love of Jesus." So to put the love of Christ into personified form, that's what we as the church are supposed to do. We are to bring about a type of demonstration of God's love to our community.
And as you were reading this passage out of Galatians, I was thinking, we are blessed with the opportunity to serve. It's not a burden. It is truly a blessing.
Yeah, it is. And so at some point, we do have to get involved. And so this is, again, where we need to turn the corner. We don't want you just to have your name on the roll. We want you to be an active part. We had a person join this past Sunday, and I told him probably what I told you whenever you came and joined, or if you do join, I'll probably say it to you if you come to me. And that is, we want to minister to you, but we want you to be a ministry back to us. it really is an act of humility whenever we're able to serve one another, to be the feet, the hands, the heart of Jesus. And even like we learned last week, that Jesus said, I didn't come to be served, I came to serve.
Yeah.
And we also need to follow that example. Jesus, the night before he was crucified, washed the feet of the disciples. And he said, I've done this to give an example to you, that if I wash your feet, you ought to go and wash the feet of other people.
Right.
And so we need to be doing some practical good in our community by serving one another.
So as we wrap up day 4, I want to challenge you with just to think about this. Salvation is a gift that we've been given by Christ and by God. And I can't help but to think about the parable of the three servants that the Lord gave different amounts of money to. And he said, he was leaving, and when he came back, he asked them, what did they do with what he had given them? And I don't want to be that servant that just says, I did nothing with what you gave me.
Exactly.
So just keep that in mind. Think about it as you go through today's study. We appreciate you joining us, and we look forward to seeing you on day 5.
All right. Thanks, Steve.